welcome back to Animal Technology Farm. As you can see from the title, today we are going to be going to Mabee Farm. Mabee Farm.
What? Take your mask off.
Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the post notification button to see thumbs up. And I just want to take you guys with me. So yes, Daddy, I still just got with you.
Everybody's ready to hit the road.
I want to hold it.
Really?
I want to hold it.
Bye. We here. Where we at? Where we at? Tell them we got to
Mabee Farm.
We at Mabee Farm, y'all. I haven't. Stop asking. It is so nice today, y'all. We taking y'all with us. I hope you're having a wonderful day.
A chicken. Jose. Jose.
We'll be back.
The chicken's head.
All right, y'all. We walk into the place. Hello, hello. Say hi. Tell them your name.
I'm Cash Lamar.
That's Annalie's friend from her school, her class. Oh, look, y'all. This is beautiful already. This place is nice already.
Set up this flower or the farm.
Yes. Nice farm, by the way. She already know that. Ooh, 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 ooh. I'm getting caught up. Guys, we going inside, y'all. Stay tuned. All right, y'all, we inside the place.
It smells like Play-Doh.
It smells like Play-Doh. Oh, look, y'all. Stay tuned, y'all. Stay tuned. Everybody about to sit down. Yeah, sit down. Come right here, Amy. Don't tell me what to do. All right. Everybody sitting down. Stay tuned. We'll be back.
How are we all doing today? Very good. Well, we're certainly glad to see you guys. We haven't had too many school trips in recent years, so we're probably glad to be back doing this again this spring. So, we're about to go see this historic farmhouse that I have pictured here. Right? This is just a sketch. An artist sketched this out. The historic house, I don't know if you saw as you were walking in, there's a couple of buildings out that way that we're going to go see. And those buildings are pretty darn old. In fact, one of those buildings was built all the way back in 1705. More than 317 years ago. Which is a pretty long time. I think there's only a handful of other homes in the whole state of New York which are as old as the Mabee Farm is. But before we talk about the Mabee Farm, I just want to see real quick, I don't want to hear voices, I just want to see hands. Raise your hand if you've been to the Mabee Farm before. All right, a handful of you have. Now raise your hand if you've never been to the Mabee Farm. Okay, yeah, all right. That's a lot of people. Okay, so what we're going to do here in this is our education center, right? It's not an historic structure. It was only built 10 years ago. This is a modern, convenient structure. But we are going to be talking about what makes this farm so special. We're going to talk about how our field trip is going to be organized today, and we're going to start, well, we're going to start again with this date right here, 1705. Now, this house was built back during a period of time that we call the Colonial Period. And that's a very specific part of American history. Have you guys been learning about the Colonial Period in school? Yeah. Yeah? Well, then maybe you could tell me, again, I want to see some hands here, if you could tell me what makes it the Colonial Period. Why do we call it the Colonial Period? There's a very specific reason. Yes?
That colonists used to live back in that year?
Absolutely. So the Mabees, you might consider them colonists. That's one thing that you could call them. But what makes someone a colonist? About yes?
They lived in America.
Well, yeah, but there are plenty of people who lived in America who weren't colonists, right? So what makes them colonists specifically? How about you?
They lived in the colony.
Well, yeah, they lived in, what makes them colonies? What is this word, colony, colonist? What makes something a colony? Yes? Well, you might be thinking, so there were certain people organized into tribes. We'll talk about them a little bit later, but these colonists, first of all, let's start with, where did the colonists come from? How about you? Yeah. Some of them did. Some of them came from Britain. What are other places that the colonists came from? Let's see. Yeah? Well, no. For our story today, the colonists are not coming from America. If they're already here, then they're not colonists. And that's kind of a clue as to what a colony is. Yeah?
French.
Yeah, there were some French colonists as well. And what we're getting at here is that these were European colonists, right? You guys would know where Europe is? It's all the way across the Atlantic Ocean, maybe, 3,000 miles east of here. I'm not sure. But, so they're coming from all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. And this is what makes them colonists, right? They're starting from one very distant place, and they're sending, settlers, colonists, long distances to new territories, or at least they were new for them. And those colonists, they would set up little towns. Those towns would develop into territories. And those territories were known as colonies because they were being ruled all the way back from their original home countries, right? So British colonists were still being ruled by Britain. French colonists were still being ruled by the French monarchy. So you had these colonists that had set up a kind of a new world for themselves, but they're still tied back to the old world in Europe. Now, we talked about the British, we talked about the French. There's one more colonial group that are going to be very important for our story here in New York. And you guys are from Amsterdam, so you have no excuse to not know. Yeah, the Dutch. Exactly. The Dutch were the first colonists to set up here in the state of New York, or rather the colony of New York. But they didn't call it New York because they were from, where are the Dutch from? Yeah. The Dutch are from the Netherlands. So when they got here, back from the old Netherlands, they called this the New Netherlands. And this was their most important city in the New Netherlands. You guys know what the city was called? Yeah, you should know this one. Yeah, the map.
Manhattan?
Well, that's the island. So that island that, is that's kind of the geographic feature. But the city on top of it, what did the Dutch call that? Yeah. New Amsterdam. New Amsterdam. Because, yeah, the Dutch were from Old Amsterdam. Amsterdam is a cool city in Europe. Go there when you're older. It's a lot of fun. These baby kids just had to deal with it. And that's what we're going to be learning about today. Life on a colonial farm. This. I know, right? It's the most exciting thing to see all of them. Here we have a map. A map of our farm today. Currently, we're all hanging out here. This is our modern education center. This is where all of our modern amenities are. We have bathrooms in here, so you might want to keep a note of that. There's all the bathrooms also. There's a red bar, by the way. So you're never far from a bathroom, kids. You're never far from a bathroom. Let a teacher or chaperone know that you have to go. We're not going to make you. In fact, we're not going to let you use the colonial bathrooms today. That's for your sake, and that's for my sake. No, we don't want to do that. But nevertheless, we have 5 stations set up for you guys. And we're going to rotate through these stations. You guys all have groups. Each group is going to start at a station. Now, if you don't start where you want to start, do not worry. You will get to everywhere today. It's just going to be a matter of time. So, in no particular order, my stations are as follows. Our first station will be here, in the red barn. In the red barn, in addition to bathrooms, we also have our farm animals. So you'll meet the farm animals, and you'll meet Finn. Finn is a sheep, and of course we get wool from sheep, and we can turn that wool into clothes. And my friend Pam is going to be talking to you about how that all works out. So that will be one group will start there. The next group can start here, at the Blacksmith Shop. And of course, blacksmiths, they take iron, and they heat it up with fire, and they turn those into useful tools here on the farm. So, the Blacksmith Shop is going to be a pretty exciting thing. The next group is going to go here to our big Dutch barn, where we don't have cows today, but the Mabees would keep cows back in the day. But one cool thing that we get from cows is milk, and we can turn that into butter. And I think you guys are going to be helping us make some butter today. And the rule is, if you want to taste the butter, you have to help make the butter. So that's just how that works. So that'll be another group.
That's cool.
Here. We'll have a group go to the historic house. This is the Mabee farmhouse from 1705. You're going to go see it. You're going to see what the colonial life would look like, would feel like. Hopefully not what it would smell like, but I can't make any guarantees. So that is going to be the colonial house there. And then our final station will be right here in our little brick house. We call it
Guys, this is going to be all the stuff we're doing today.
That's where we have a Revolutionary War interpreter. And he's going to talk to you about life at the end of the colonial period. Of course, we have the Revolutionary War, which ends the colonial status of New York and the other colonies. So he's going to talk to you a little bit about that situation and how the Mabees went ahead and deal with that situation as well. So those are our 5 stations. We are going to rotate in a counterclockwise direction today, ladies and gentlemen, so that we're all going to go out to our stations. But when you're at the station, it'll be about 20 minutes. 20 minutes for each station. You'll hear a 5-minute warning bell first at 15 minutes, and then you'll hear another bell when 20 minutes is up. And that will be when you rotate, all right? So you can ignore the first bell, second bell is boring. We're going to rotate in a counterclockwise direction today. So at the sheep station, we'll go to the blacksmith station. The blacksmith station will go to the butter station. The butter station will go to the colonial house. The colonial house will go to the reservoir station, and the reservoir station will go to the sheep station. And then we'll rotate through until everyone.
That's pretty cool.
Everything.
I didn't know they doing this. All this.
Is there gonna be questions?
It's open to public in the summer too,
I have time for 50 questions.
like their Facebook page.
Oh, they got a
They
pink.
have fairs, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, it's really nice.
Oh my gosh. That's cute.
They call it the Mohawk River because the Mohawk people were living on it. So it was originally it was the Mohawks River, like a possessive S. That's a great question. You know, that is an incredible question. Why did they call it the Mohawk Kill? You know, I bet back in the day, those Dutch people did call it the Mohawk Kill. But we've just since kind of dropped that Dutch part of the word and just called it the Mohawk River because we're lazy. Now, so one more question. Do you have a question? Sorry, say again? Well, we don't have any activities set up at the other places on the map, and if we had all day, in fact, if I had you for a whole summer, we could show you about all these different places here on the farm, but we only have so much time here today. So you'll see a lot of the farm, but there's always more to see at the farm, and that's just kind of the way that it is. Now, before we dismiss you in your groups, I have one last rule. This is a very important rule. We might be a little bit strict about it, so just, be forewarned. So, the buildings
Stay tuned, stay
artifacts
tuned.
that you're going to see are all real historic things, right? They're all, in many cases, centuries old, which means they're fragile, right? They're fragile. And we can't replace these things. No amount of money can replace a 200 or 300-year-old artifact. That's just not how it works, right? So, if you see something cool, I'm going to insist that you don't touch it, you don't lean on it, you don't sit on it, and don't even breathe on it too hard. Because here's the thing, like I said, if you break it, it's going to ruin everyone's day. So, there will be many opportunities for you to get hands-on with the history that you see. But just wait for some of my museum educators. They will have orange or turquoise shirts on. That's how you know that they're a museum educator. They will let you know what is okay to touch and what is not. But until they let you know, you must assume that you cannot touch anything. Does that register with you all? Alright, can I trust you all to do that? Yeah. Alright, well that's how we're going to do that. Alright, so now I'm going to bring, let's see, Miss Sensi, would you like to...
Guys, stay tuned. We about to head to the next location.
Alright.
Oh, we'll be back. Alright, everybody, we all gonna get split up. The classes is gonna get split up in like 3s or 4.
Julian, Caden, Mia G, and Sayat.
With this group, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys can go to the 1705 Mabee house and see the everyday life of the Mabees.
Oh, yeah, this is where we're going. We're going next. That's where we're going, guys. I have 15 kids with us. So, yeah. Here's a whole group of us.
You ready?
Alright, we're gonna start walking.
We almost about to
So just
leave.
walk to the end of the stone. Oh, sorry, I cut you right off.
Stay tuned, y'all. Make sure y'all like this
Hi,
video.
Alice. I like your glasses.
Anna's in. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anna's in the bathroom, y'all. So take a trip with us. Come take a trip. Stay tuned.
Right here.
Subscribe. You ready? I brought my water bottle just in case. Guys, come with us.
No,
This is nice. Oh, oh. I know. We all together. Come on. Oh, is it what? Oh, wow. Look at the chicken, y'all.
These are the chickens I see camping. It's a rooster. It's a rooster. I never seen a rooster before. Oh, that's so cute. That's a rooster.
Come on, stay with the group. Come on. Run.
You got it. You got it, kid.
It's definitely wet in these grass. Oh, look at the water, y'all. Look at everything around. This is everywhere. Everybody split up into groups.
So it'll turn into a butterfly, but not on me. So it's Mohawk River. Bingo. No. It's the river. So guys, if you are in a canoe, which the native people have, or you're in that boat down there, which is a Dutch boat called a bateau, which is like a rowboat, okay? And if you paddle hard for one day in that direction, you get this Schenectady.
Oh, wow.
And if you paddle hard in the other direction from here in a day, you get the Canada-Harry. Long before white people got out here, Canada-Harry was a permanent town of the Mohawks. They had a few thousand people living in it, had Mohawk log houses, and they lived there year-round. Schenectady was a place where they mostly lived in the summer and did farming and that sort of stuff. So there was always traffic going back and forth on this river, and this spot where we are, more or less, was a good place halfway through your trip to get out of the boat and camp out, spend the night.
Mm-hmm.
And this had been going on for long before any colonial folks got here. Now, what's the easiest way to get around in those days? What? On a boat. So this was like the New York Thruway. And one way
We'll be
to
back,
think about
guys.
this
Stay tuned.
house where they started. Now, we're traveling back in time, and you're all going to have to use your imaginations, guys.
On to the next.
Once we learned in social studies that the roofs were different, they're from the Netherlands. Remember I taught you? That was one of the ways. They would. Yeah, we just started.
Don't touch, remember? Well, touchy.
I want to show you one thing before we go inside and look at the old
To the right. Let me take that home.
studies or not, but this is called a Dutch door.
Yes, we did. Somebody better know what it is.
So you know that the top can open separate from the bottom.
Remember that?
So at this time of year, when the weather gets nice, you can have the top open so light and air get in the room, but you can leave the bottom closed so all the farm animals, the chickens and the cows and the pigs, don't come into the house and start saying you got any food. You'll be crashing. So this is the Dutch door. When they started out by building just a one-room house, and that's this room in here.
This is their first, this is what they started.
Got the games and stuff right there. This is cute. Okay, alright, they got the bed right there.
Mrs. Mabee was from Schenectady. Mr. Mabee was from what is now New York City. They met somewhere in Schenectady or Albany. They dated, they got married. They had 10 kids. They had a lot of kids. When they moved out here to the farm, the two oldest kids were already having lives of their own. So Mr. and Mrs. Mabee came out here with 8 kids and 1 helper. And the helper was an African and was enslaved. Okay? And when they got out here, there was this thick jungle-like forest here. And the first thing they had to do was build a place to live. So they started by digging the hole that was the basement. Okay? And that probably took them the whole first year, at least the summer part of the first year. So now it's getting to be like Halloween, and it's starting to get cold, and what they probably had to do was cover the hole with tree trunks and branches, and probably that first winter they all lived in what's the basement underneath us. Okay? We don't have a record of that for this house, but we do have a record of it for a house that's just as old that's down in Coxsackie. And I'm guessing that it happened here too, because you couldn't build the whole house in 1 year. Why? You had to cut down the trees. You had to cut down the trees and then hack out the beams. Same thing with the floorboards. This took a lot of work. So you dug the hole the first year, lived in the hole.
Say we going to the next what? Farm, right? Go, 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 go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're leaving this room, y'all. That's where we was at.
Come back. Good day. Anytime.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
On to the next.
We got everybody?
We're gonna go all the way. Everybody's taking turns to go to each farm. Come on this way, y'all.
When I get home and you're done,
Look at that chicken just chilling. He's everywhere. Chicken, chicken, chicken. Alright, so this is where we came from, y'all. Y'all see this? That was the first location we went in. This is what we was talking about. All about this place. Now we in this location. Okay, so we got another location we in.
Here, why don't you go over here by the alley? Come here, Ida.
Okay.
Stay tuned, y'all.
Say good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Ray, a reenactor with the Albany County Militia. And reenactors perform at places like the Old Stone Fort, Saratoga Battlefield, Fort Tide, Fort Ticonderoga, Fort Clark. And they go to these historic sites in front of large crowds usually to show people what it was like during the Revolutionary War. And one of the things they do is they have battles. Now these are all mostly militia. and they would form up with people that are actually dressed as patriots, army, in really nice blue uniforms. But you can see that the people who are in the militia, they just wear regular work clothing, most of them. And they have, so you can't really tell one militia group from another because they're all dressed very, haphazardly, I think is a good word. They wear, just like what you are. You don't look, I can't say that this group has all red. You're not a team, right? You are, but you're all dressed differently. Militia was the same way. Now, they would fight the British, and the British would all be red, except they also had some people that are blue in the back here with these hats, these mitre caps that go up almost a foot up high, and those people are called Hessians. They were from Germany, and they helped the British. Hundreds, actually thousands of those people came overseas with the British to fight us.
Wow.
So those were the people that we were fighting. And you will also see drummers, people playing the drum, because the drum, as you can see up there, was the public address system. The drum told you a lot of things as to, when to get up, when to go to work, and all of that kind of stuff. They also had fifers that played with the drums. A fife was either metal, and I have a couple over there, metal or wood, usually, and no keys. And they played with the drum. So they also were able to, be basically what we call a public address system. The women, they all came not only to the duties, they not only came to the drills, they also came to the battles. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. They cooked food, they washed clothes. Sometimes the woman actually went out on the battlefield. Didn't happen a lot, but sometimes that's what they did. They had to go out and help out on the battlefield. Also, they cared for sick and wounded people. Now, as far as washing clothes, at Saratoga, they were there. The people here, the Mabees, were over at Saratoga in the early part of September, and they were still there toward the end of October, so that's almost 2 months. Would you want to wear the same clothes for 2 months?
No.
No, I don't think so. Also, some of the clothes would get so ragged and dirty that they would also have to be remade. They'd have to make a new shirt or a new pair of pants or new shoes for the person, because the shoes might be so bad that they weren't of any use anymore. They just kept coming out of them, and you don't want that. So that's what women did. They made new fresh clothing for these guys during the battles.
We're reading the Drums at Saratoga book.
What's that?
We just began a novel called The Drums at Saratoga, and it's about the camp followers and what the women did and what the young boys did. So they just started reading it. We're just on chapter 2. So everything you're saying is everything we're going to read in that book.
And so, the women and a lot of girls like you could do this. You would know how to do it. The boys would be more interested, they would be kind of told that they would have to be fifers or drummers, and we'll get into that in a minute. But the girls, for the most part, every once in a while a girl would disguise herself and play a fife or a drum, but that didn't happen very often, but it did happen to some extent. But anyway, these are all the things that you'll see even at a reenactment. They'll even have people that pretending to be sick or wounded. They have women sewing, making shoes, doing all kinds of stuff like that at a reenactment. And all the people would sleep in tents at the battles and also at the drills. Now at the drills, they usually slept together. You can see, you see the man, the woman, and the child, and they're all in the same tent. That happened at drills. They could sleep together. But at a battle, because you might get woken up in the middle of the night because all of a sudden somebody from the other side is in your territory. So they would have a.
We're leaving, y'all.
Yeah, like after a number of years, I bet 20.
On to the next. Stay tuned if you want to keep watching. This is.
Second window. Yeah.
Somebody would say they lost it. Back to the chicken. This is where we came from, y'all. This is the first one. And we came from the second one. Now we're on to the third. See everybody's rotation. Look, everybody's split. We all split into groups. So that's why you see everybody going to different ones. This is my group over here. Like this video, y'all. Stay tuned. Watch the full video if y'all want to learn something also about the farm. This is the time to watch the video and learn more about the farm if you watch the whole video. Oh, we're going in here, y'all. Oh, I see animals. I see more animals. Look at the grass. Look at the grass. They don't bite. They don't bite.
No, scared.
Let's see.
She's gonna tell you where to go.
You stand over here. That's a piece of All right, get over here.
Come on, Mia, go.
Ready? Want to touch the boat? Stay in the line. Listen.
You are listening.
All right, you stand next to her.
Right here.
Okay, now we just curve around so we
Curve
get
right around. Come here, Cash.
so everybody can see. Okay, let's just curve around, shoulder to shoulder. Okay. All right, so everybody can see. Good. Now, when I have a big group like this, it's best that I kind of space you out so nobody gets behind anybody. Now, when the first bell rings, I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to close that door. Oh, and if somebody does not want to hand feed the animals, they can go outside before we do that. And I'm going to give you all some grain, and I'll let the animals out, and you can feed them and pet them. Okay? Okay. And goats and sheep do not fight. And neither do the chickens. Now, the chickens aren't as friendly as the goats and sheep. They just kind of keep out of your way, except for my favorite chicken, who did, I think, just leave. And one of the chickens has a red comb on top of its head that's kind of tall, and that one lets me pick it up, but I think it just left a little while ago. Yep.
Is it the one they just saw outside?
I think so, yeah. See, what happened is there's four chickens who are not happy about the fact that their chicken coop got moved down to behind the White House. So they come up here, these four, every day, and they pick around in the hay, and they lay an egg usually in the corner, and then they go back with their group in the afternoon. And this has been going on for the new chicken coop. It's our Pygmy Goats. That's as big as they're going to get. So all of these guys are just short of a year old. Now the goats don't add anything really to the farm outside of the cute factor. But they are friends with Finn, and in the wintertime they sleep in a big pile. So they help each other. Now when you feed them, goats, they do not bite. You don't have to hold your hand totally flat like you're feeding a horse. You can hold it like that because they put their little nose in there. Make sure with the goats, because they're so short, that you hold your hand down. Otherwise they can't see the grain and they can't get it. And Finn is very gentle. He's probably the easiest to feed. The only one we gotta watch out for is Abby. Abby is the brown one. Now Abby's capable of being a head butter. Now, it isn't horrible, but on the other hand, you don't want to be butted all the time. So if she does it too much, I'll get her out of the way. But the best way to stop her is feed her. And also, if you have to get her away from you, don't push on her head. All that does with a goat is tell them that, oh, I want to play. So what you do is you put your hand under their head and push on their chest and get them out of the way.
Okay, you go, like, let's say, go back a little in line here, so you're not in front of people. Okay, good. All right, now, the Mabee family had sheep, but they probably had merino sheep, which were twice as big as Finn. Now, they provide a lot of wool and a lot of meat. We don't eat our animals. So, but in colonial times, it was important that the sheep and other animals on the farm provided food for the family too. They might have had a goat, but usually the only reason they had goats was for milk, for maybe babies, and also for very old people. Sometimes they couldn't tolerate cow's milk. So, so they might have had a goat. But mainly it would be sheep. Now, the kids' job in wool production pretty much was just taking care of the animals. So they would make sure they had a good place to live and were safe. They would make sure that they had food and water. They would take them to different areas of the farm to graze. Now, in colonial times, there weren't fences. So if you wanted to take the sheep, you know, half a mile away, you had to go with them and stay with them. So, so the kids would do that. Now, the reason they didn't have a lot to do with the actual wool production was because the spinning of the wool and making yarn had to be done almost perfectly, because most of it went on a loom, and a loom puts a lot of stress on yarn and it wants to break, so if it's not done well. So if you're a weaver and you're weaving
Guys, we stay tuned when they start feeding the animals.
Go right out
all right,
there.
you go outside the door.
You're fine, me.
About
Go
to feed
ahead.
the animals,
Unless
y'all.
you can stay with the animals if you want.
You want to stay in here and just not feed?
Oh, okay. I just don't want anybody in here that's going to be afraid of the animals. All right,
Don't be
shut
afraid
that
of
door.
Wait, where's the chicken?
Everybody about
Okay,
to
go
feed the
back.
animals,
All right.
y'all. Stay
Now,
tuned.
I'm only giving a little bit of
Only a
grain
little.
because...
I want to do it too.
Where did that one chicken come from?
Okay, that's fine. Okay,
I'll take some.
wanna feed? Oh. Okay. We're only doing a little bit because
I got
so
it.
many kids have to feed. We don't want to
Look
give
at their
the
food,
animals
y'all.
tummy
Get
aches.
full tummies.
About to feed them. Let me see how much you got. I got more than you.
Yeah, add some show.
It smells weird.
Okay, now listen to me. The little goats, make sure you go down low or else they can't see that you have grain, okay?
Look at him. Look at the big one. He's so greedy. He already smell it.
All right, no yelling, no yelling.
Go low so they can
And you guys can all move. You can move
Once
anywhere
you feed,
you want.
make sure you go over.
Hey. Do it, Anna. Do it, Anna.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Can I get more?
Okay, yeah.
Can I get more?
Oh, yeah, just, yeah, anybody. All right, now just keep an eye on Abby, the brown one. She's a
Aw.
butter.
Abby likes to headbutt, so just watch her.
Oh, she did it. Yeah.
She wants to play. I'm gonna tell you.
I'm bottling it.
Yeah, the best way to stop her is feed her.
She got big. I
Has
got more.
everybody used all their grain? Okay, listen.
Yes, yes.
Do it again. Do it again.
Oh, come here.
All right, quiet, everybody.
Okay, Abby.
I'm gonna try to trick them. Come on, Finn. Finn.
Oh, they're tricking her. Oh, they're
All right,
listening.
come on,
Don't
Finn.
stop. Thank you.
All right.
Ew. It looked like cheese.
Finn,
Finn's gotta go in, guys. Oh,
Finn, come on, come on.
They gotta go in.
Finn's gotta go in.
Say bye, y'all.
There you go.
Okay, go.
Finn.
The big one ain't trying to go in.
Come here.
All right, come here. All right, don't go after him. I'll say.
Nope. Here, why don't we back up?
He doesn't want to. The chicken is the one that had about.
No, he's not trying to go in though. He knows.
He's not listening.
All right, hold on.
He's not
Why don't we
trying.
back away? Because he wants to be pet. He's gotta listen.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
why don't we now? Oh,
Okay.
He's hiding on that.
oh my!
All
They
right.
listen like you guys
All
sometimes
right,
in
come on,
class.
guys.
Oh,
Oh, but that got him in.
There we go.
There you go.
All right.
Look at the chicken. Look at him. He's trying to escape
We're
too.
going to go next door and see Goat Girl. Let's open the
Oh,
gate.
we're gonna go see another one.
no.
The chicken. We still got that farm to go into. That's gonna be Not the last one, because we got that one and we got that one to go to. Ooh, look at the big ones, y'all.
Do you see how it looks like she had a haircut?
All right, this is supposed to be Annie. Annie in a really nice shape.
Look at this big hairy one, y'all.
And Goat Girl likes to knock people over. Now I have to watch her real careful because if her tongue goes out the side of her mouth and wiggles, then I know she's going to do something naughty. No, she doesn't bite. She doesn't bite. She likes knocking people.
She likes knocking people.
She used to do a lot of dancing on her back feet, but she's getting old. She's 13.
Oh, wow.
Okay, you're gonna go to the blacksmith.
She's 13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right here.
13. And what about that one? One.
Do you see where her?
They big.
You see how they sheared her?
Yeah, and she had spots.
They didn't. Yeah.
Okay, go to the blacksmith.
Say thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
I don't know what we're doing. No, that's
Anna, come on.
Oh,
No, it's two more. That one and that one, right?
2, 3. Yep, we have 2 more. I think.
Got 2 more to go to, y'all.
I like that.
Hey. All right, look, y'all. So I'm gonna show y'all where we about to head into. This is the board right here. That's about what we about to talk about and see and learn. It's called workshop. Sorry, it's so bright, y'all. The sun is so shining today, and it's lovable outside. It feels great. And we in here, y'all. Oh, check it out. Ooh, don't choke. It's strong in here, though. It's strong.
Come here.
Because that line is a
Smell
very
like
important
smoke.
line, you'll find out.
Like this was on or something.
You can let the shorter
Oh, it is
people
smoke.
come up
Look.
front. They block sparks when I'm working
fire.
later anyway.
Oh.
It's a good idea.
I can't sing.
Nope.
Okay,
Nope.
okay.
Let 'em
You
come
say
up
it.
front.
Come here.
All right. And then everybody just take about a half a step back so you're not touching or playing with the rope.
It's alright. Just a smoke.
Move
There
back,
we go.
move back.
Can you see?
All right. Welcome to the blacksmith shop. How many of you guys know what a blacksmith's job was? What did he do? What kind of things did he make?
He made like tools.
He made tools. Yes, the blacksmith was the tool maker. He was the guy who made a lot of the tools that people used back then. Anybody know what 2 kinds of metal, 2 types of metal he made those tools out of?
Come on. You should know.
You know.
Iron is one, and the other one's very similar.
Steel?
Steel. Yes,
Yeah.
iron and steel were the 2 metals that the blacksmith worked with. There were
Smart
other
boy.
trades out there that worked with gold and silver and copper and bronze and pewter and nickel and lead and those softer kinds of metal. Those were other trades. The blacksmith worked with iron and steel. Those were the 2 hardest types of metal that they had back then. Almost everybody during their day to do their jobs, to get their work done, some of the tools or parts of some of the tools they used were made out of iron and or steel, and they needed a blacksmith to help make and repair those tools for them. There were a couple of different types of blacksmiths. The general blacksmith would generally have the shop. He was the tool maker and stuff. But another blacksmith worked in his shop a lot. And he had a very specific job and a very specific thing he made from iron. And he was known as a farrier. Does anybody know what the farrier's job was? He made something out of iron that had to do with an animal. Nope, it had something that had to do with a horse.
Horseshoe.
Leather? Horseshoes?
Horseshoes, yes. The farrier is the guy who made those shoes and put them on the horses. So he had to be a bit of a blacksmith to forge and shape these iron
And
shoes.
them things
didn't
is
he?
hard. Them shoes.
But he could also trim the horses' hooves, take care of their feet, and fit these shoes onto them. There were 3 kinds of animal, 3 types of domesticated animal that were shod by the farrier with these iron shoes back then. Anybody know what 3 kinds of animals wore these iron shoes?
Horses?
Horses are one.
Goats?
Nope, no goats.
Cow?
No cows. Another one's a lot like a horse but longer ears.
Mama?
Think anything?
Donkey or mule. And one other one, really big animal with a really small name. He had a big wooden thing he wore around his neck to pull with, and his name only has 2 letters in it.
Donkey?
We already said donkey.
If you think, then say
No,
it.
2 letters.
A bull?
Nope, 2 letters. Begins with an O.
Owl?
Ox, yes. Horses, mules, and oxen are the 3 kinds of animals that wore these iron shoes.
They were all animals that were doing work for people. They were pulling wagons and plows and sleighs. They had to protect their hooves from the harder road surfaces, so they made these iron shoes for them. The farrier's trade was separate from the other blacksmiths because there was another whole part to his trade. They did not have veterinarians back then.
Remember I said that in the book we were reading?
What you doing again?
Making a nail. Now, notice how much easier it is to shape the iron when it's hot. See that?
Yeah, that's crazy.
But also notice it's going to start cooling down pretty quickly, so I have to work pretty fast here.
Wow, that thing is mad pointy. Wow.
And now I have the point for my nail. Now I have to put it back in and heat it again to do the next step in making the nail. One of the big advantages you had as an apprentice in this trade over all the other trades out there is one of the things we mentioned before. The blacksmith, he's the guy who made the tools that people use who are made out of iron and steel, right? What are my tools mostly made out of?
Metal.
Iron and steel. During your apprenticeship and as a blacksmith, you can make your own tools. All those other trades out there, they had parts of their tools that were made out of iron and steel, and they had to come and pay the blacksmith to make and repair the iron and steel parts of their tools where you could make your own. And during your apprenticeship, you made a lot of the tools you used for the rest of your career as a blacksmith, and you made them out of scrap iron. Leftover pieces of other projects, worn out things that were lying around, so you could actually make a lot of your tools for free. I forged this hammerhead a few years ago out of a piece of a worn out wagon axle.
Wow.
So I can make my own hammers. I can make my own tongs to pick up the hot iron. The chisels, punches, and other tools that I use to bend, shape, and twist the iron. These are all things you made during your apprenticeship. There was one piece of equipment you couldn't make yourself, one of the most important things you need when you went to start your own shop later, and that's this thing up front. Anybody know what it's called?
An anvil?
Yep, that is an anvil. You see them in the cartoons falling on characters' heads and squishing them all the time. They do that because these things are really heavy. This anvil here weighs about 300 pounds.
So that's why it could crush in Minecraft.
Yep. Yep, in Minecraft. Yep.
Smart.
Before Minecraft came out, none of the kids knew what an anvil was.
Now they do,
Wow.
right?
Now they do. It's really interesting. So these things are really heavy. So if you're going to build one of these back then, you start out with this 300-pound blob of iron. How hot did I have to heat that 300 pounds of iron to make it soft enough that I can shape it? I had to have it over... No, over...
No, 2, 3. 2,000.
Nope, it was less than that, remember? Over 2,000
I thought it was 2,000.
degrees.
Yeah.
Yep. Do you think I can heat a block of iron this big in this shop? No. My forge isn't big enough, my hammers aren't big enough to shape it. The anvils were made in these places called bloomeries and fineries. These were the guys who were making the iron that the blacksmiths were using. They were making the iron. They were digging iron ore out of the ground. Now, iron ore is a rock that has a lot of iron in it, but it also has a lot of rock in it. They needed to separate the rock from the iron. They had these big furnaces. They heat them up to about 2,600 degrees. And if you remember, that's just under the melting point of the iron. They dump the iron ore in the top.
That's
The
how they
rock
heat it
that's
up
in
in
that
there.
ore melts at about 2,000 to 2,300 degrees. So the rock turns to a liquid, runs out of the bottom of the furnace. The iron that's in the ore all sticks together in these big globs or blooms, which is why...
So he's showing us how he makes nails and all these sticks that he makes to shape it. Wow.
Now, I cut it almost all the way off. It's almost a nail. I left it holding on by a little bit of iron so I can heat it again and then easily snap it off to put the flat head or top on the nail. There was one little thing about being an apprentice
See, they
back
put
then.
it in
I
there
figured
to
it took
make
you
it
about
hot.
6 years to learn a trade. So from the time you were around 12 or 14 years old to 18 to 20, you'd be working in a shop like this 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, and guess what? You didn't get paid.
Wait, what?
The first 6 years you worked in here, the work you did during your apprenticeship, the work you did while you were learning,
Oh, no, I'm
that
sorry.
work was what you were trading to Master Smith for him to teach you the trade. Today you need tens of thousands of dollars to go to college. Back then
Wow.
you didn't need any money to learn a trade, you just needed 6 years of your life to donate to somebody and they would teach you a trade. During your apprenticeship, if you were apprenticed to your father or somebody right nearby where you lived, you were sent, you would live at home. If your parents apprenticed you to somebody who lived 2 or 3 towns away, they would send you to go and live with that person's parents or live with that person's family during the time of your apprenticeship. So at 12 years old, you could be sent away from home to go and learn a trade back then. That wasn't unusual. When you finished your apprenticeship, you'd be a journeyman. If you'd apprenticed in this shop, you'd be a journeyman blacksmith. You could stay working in the shop where you apprenticed, or you can go and work for somebody else. But at least as a journeyman, you were getting paid.
Watch full video, y'all.
You probably couldn't go and start your own shop yet. You had to save up some money to build a building, buy your anvil, things like that. Once you were ready to start your own shop back then, it was very easy to do here in North America. With all the immigrants coming over, moving west, new towns, new villages. If you were going to start a new town back then, who'd be one of the first guys you'd need to help start the town? A blacksmith, yeah. Somebody had to make all those nails for the building. All the tools the carpenters used to cut and shape all the wood in here, axes, saws, chisels, hammers, all made out of iron and steel. They needed a blacksmith. The farmer, guy growing your food, rakes, hoes, shovels, blades for the plows, blades for scythes, like this scythe blade up there. You see that? Big steel blade. Yep, that was one of the things that was made and repaired by the blacksmith. Even the Native Americans put in some of the treaties for new settlements here in the Mohawk Valley. That one of the
Every
first
time he
things
turns
that
that, it makes
they
a
were to
fire.
build in that settlement was a blacksmith shop. They
cool.
needed the blacksmiths too.
Whoa. Wow.
That's hot. No, it's not. Want to touch it?
That's to shape it?
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Oh my God, he made a whole nail. Ooh.
And cool it down in the water.
To cool it down in the water. Okay. Look how he made that, y'all.
You said you could do this, I can't.
Look how he made that
You
nail
guys
so
can pass
fast.
that around, take a look at it. That's what a nail looks like. Now think about it. You had to make 500 of those a day just to get paid.
Cricket.
So that would keep you busy.
Pay how much?
Hmm?
How much you get paid if you make 500?
About 50 cents.
What? What?
Yep. You could also buy a loaf of bread for a nickel. So 50 cents was a living wage back then. Actually, it was pretty good.
What about now?
Let me see.
Do you get paid?
Let me see how it looks.
People, if I'm making those nails, I can sell those nails for about 25 to 50.
Anna, let me see, show.
So if you make 500
Wow.
a day, do the math.
Very
Figure out how much that is.
Let me see.
Well, then you wouldn't know how much you were
Go
getting
ahead. I
paid.
took one.
Now,
Don't worry, it's not.
one
Wow,
more
and
thing
it's
I
so
want to tell you
pointy
guys.
too. Like, that's crazy.
Hello.
Wow.
The iron that nail's made out of is great for making nails and quite a few of the tools and hardware. But for some of the tools, I needed edges that stayed sharp, and I needed springs. Now what you did is you added a little bit of carbon to that iron, and it made it harder and tougher, and that's what steel is. Steel is iron with a little carbon added to it. It sounds simple, but it's actually very difficult to do. One of the things, it was very expensive back then. One of the things that used the largest amount of steel that they'd work on in these shops back then were the swords that the soldiers carried. This is a typical type of sword that they had back then. This is called a basket-hilted sword, because the hilt forms like an iron basket around your hand and protects it from other people's sword blades. The blade on the sword is what's made from steel.
Wow.
If the blade on this sword was made out of iron, if it was made out of iron and I did this, it would bend and it would stay bent. Notice the springs right back.
Wow.
Steel allows me to make a very light, thin sword for the soldiers that won't bend or break. Springs for clocks and watches and other tools. Cutting edges for axes and saws for the carpenters. Almost all the steel we used here during the colonial period was made in Europe. It was that difficult to make. Some of the best steel at the time was being made in Germany. Yep, the blade on this sword was made in Germany.
We on to the next. It's either this one or you gotta go next.
I needed to use the bathroom.
Oh, she gotta use the bathroom.
Oh, she's right there.
Wait.
She's over there. Do you know what the bathroom is?
No, I don't, Mama. We on to the next. Everybody see everybody going to the next location. We all swapping and taking turns. And we all learning new things. I hope you like this video. Tell them make sure they what? Make sure they do what?
Huh? Like, share, subscribe, and that post notification bell. Are we going to make butter now?
So we are to our new location. Where we at?
Do you guys know what you're doing today here? Okay. So you know the plan. That's your last station, right?
So we making butter, y'all. We're gonna make butter.
Okay, before we start, Shannon, I'm gonna just tell them, I'm just gonna tell them what their part is in this. You guys gotta came here and you gotta work because this is a working farm. Okay, we're gonna make butter in here, and I'm gonna start because we're modern. This is the modern moment. We're gonna put some heavy cream in here, and that we bought at the store, so it's all pasteurized and sterilized and everything. And here's my modern churn, and then Shannon will tell you about the old churns. But this modern churn stirs the cream up, and we'll get the butter out of this. But this can be run through the dishwasher, so it's clean and sterile, and you're not going to get any germs out of it. And what we're going to do is keep passing this around until we get butter, okay? And it'll take
everybody's going to take it
10 or 15 minutes because I only put a little drop of, okay? One person, you have to hold it on one side, one hand there, and maybe your friend would hold the bottle jug for you because sometimes it just gets, okay? And get to work.
I love it. So your friends are over here displaying the proper butter churning technique.
Okay.
We're going to pass it around.
You're doing good.
So here, don't touch. So actually, I'll tell you about that really quick, right? Just because it's broken. Okay, so what you see over here is the modern butter churn, right? You could get that off Amazon. It's pretty modern, right? And it's going to take us like, what she said, 20 minutes. And I don't remember Mike's rule, but to try the butter, you have to churn the butter, remember? So we're all working today? Okay. So, going backward in time a little bit. Just because someone asked what this was. Wow. Doesn't this kind of look like the one that we're using now? Yeah. Okay. A little bit. Yes and no, right? It's not like 150 years old.
Like this video, y'all.
Yeah, so we can try some.
Yeah. We don't pass this around because it's broken.
And it's too.
So, before that though.
I like your phone case.
Okay.
It looks very cool.
Before I show you that,
Welcome.
do you guys know the first step to make butter? Remember, she showed you we pour the heavy cream, but back in the day, did the Mabees go to Stewart's to pick up cream or the grocery store?
Nope.
Where did they get it?
No, from cows.
From
Cows,
okay,
yes.
Good. It was a dairy farm back in the day. And someone might talk about the different jobs people would be doing, the kids. And so
And
one
it's
of those
making
jobs
butter,
would be
y'all.
going to get the milk, right? Did you guys see the yolk in the house?
Let's go. Everybody gonna take a turn.
So like that's the idea maybe here.
So the more they spinning, y'all, is the more
Just
they're
like
making
she showed,
the butter
pouring
to
it
get
in.
thicker.
We're going to agitate it. We're going to really mix it up, and the molecules will separate. And so we'll have a solid, and we'll have a liquid.
Got the crackers.
But before we had all that, we had something like this.
Whoa.
Has anyone seen this before?
I've
Like
never
on
seen
TV?
that.
Okay.
It's like a musher? Is that like a musher?
Butter churn?
Mm.
That's what I
Okay.
thought we were going to be doing, the thing.
Yeah, well, it would take a lot longer to do that. Do you know how long this might have taken? I'll show you how it works a little bit.
Like years.
Not years, but
She
about a
said
day is
years.
right. You guys spend, what, like 6-ish hours in school?
This is so
Okay,
big,
so little
y'all.
Maria, who's about 5, this would have been one of her jobs. Little Maria is going to spend about 6 hours a day
This
doing
thing
this.
is so big.
Just like that.
That's the
I'll show you how
outside.
it works.
Different farm that we already went to.
So see this thing here?
How many days?
Plunges up and down,
6 hours. Wow.
and it's going to agitate just like you're agitating over there, okay? And like I said, that's going to separate.
That's to make butter, y'all. This is to make butter. In case y'all just now tuning
She
in.
does. She holds it.
It doesn't matter.
Oh,
Somebody's got to hold it.
I can hold it.
It's like this.
He's like, I could do my own job.
So, like
up
it
on
could be
top.
on my
So we have this butter. Okay, little Maria's mixing the butter, and Mrs. Mabee's going to take her butter, all right? What do you think she's going to do with it?
Eat it.
Eat it. Yep, we're going to eat it because we don't waste on the farm. And when we had so much butter, because Maria's doing this every day. She's doing this every day for 6 hours, and we're making a lot of butter, all right? So what we're not eating, what are we going to do with? You guys have talked about a lot this one thing that we do with our products here. We use the river for it, going back and forth a lot. What are we doing with our products? Anyone? Starts with a T.
Do you make them to sell them?
Yeah,
To go to
trade.
different stores and
Yeah, to trade, okay? So we're here on the farm.
it's like a warehouse basically.
We're making butter, And so Mrs. Mabee, she's not gonna just take this big bucket of butter. She's gonna put it in these molds. Here. So you put the butter in, and then when you pop it out, you get, well, little butter bread, right? And so measure them out. And so the whole point was that Mrs. Mabee's taking this stuff, she's taking it to trade, and she wants to know exactly how much she has, because if she gives someone just a bucket of butter and there's no measurement, they're probably not going to go back to her again. If they know she's honest and fair, then they're going to want to continue trading with her. And so besides these, we also have these really cute little butter bells that have flower prints. So they would make little decorative ones maybe. Oh, let's wait to touch these. Yeah, it is very cool. See, it's got a cow.
And then you guys open.
Remember, no touching, y'all.
We'll have some stuff around for sure. Okay.
I like the mini one.
The mini ones are very cute. Okay, so we got this butter, right? We're trading it. What are we trading it for? We talked about trading like wampum belts and fur, right? Do you have any other ideas?
What is this?
Well, that's a good example. There's some things that we're going to trade for. It's not one of these. There's some other things on the table.
Maybe.
For like the tools.
So we're trading for things we can't get here. So the Mabees can get their own food. They can really even make their own clothes if they want to. So when they're going,
Wow.
this is one of those things they would have been trading for.
That's a stamp.
It's got a stamp on it.
Mm-hmm.
What's in it? I don't think you'll be able to guess by passing it around. One of them got ripped a little bit.
Sugar?
Yeah, it's
I was
sugar.
about to say, is it sugar?
It is sugar. And now sugar is not something we can grow around here. That's something that's going on down south. And so it's not something that Mabees are finding here. It's not like a natural resource around here.
So those are the trays to get like stuff like that. Okay.
In fact, if they wanted to sweeten stuff, they'd probably have to have like honey or maple syrup. So sugar was highly sought after.
So everybody's taking a turn.
Another thing they would trade for. Does anyone want to take a guess?
Is it getting hard?
Get some observations in here. Does anyone have like a guess as to what this big brick might be? Check out the characters.
Oh, I know.
Do you know?
So, Spanish gold? Maybe
No?
like Japanese.
It is okay. So you're seeing Asian characters.
Maybe like when they put the butter on, they would like put it like on it to stamp a logo maybe.
That's not a bad idea. She was wondering if it was like a stamp or a mold. So this stuff comes all the way over from Asia, but it doesn't look like this when we first get it. It's actually tea. Have you guys ever seen tea before?
Yeah.
The tea bags, I'm not gonna even pass this around. It smells funny. But this is kind of the idea of tea, right? And you've seen it in tea bags today. Back in the day, it would have looked more like this.
Oh my goodness.
So that it could be compressed and would last a long journey. And so this is what Mrs. Mabee would do. Do you know how she would have drank it? You have an idea? You can kind of tell from how this one looks.
Oh, she would cut it up and melt it.
Sorry, she would, scrape off, put it in a cup, drink it, and it would probably get in your tea because we don't have no tea bags. Right?
Guys, we'll be back to the next location. Alright guys, everybody tasted the cracker with butter. It was an awesome experience and I learned a lot. The kids learned a lot. These ladies did a great job. They explained detail by detail how everything is. I hope you're learning something new today. Just stay tuned, watch the full video. And we're on to the next location. These kids still want more. Everybody already tried it. See, that bell means it's time to go. That's what the bell means.
Oh yay, food. Food.
How you liked it? You liked it?
It was not that bad. It's really good. Try it.
Natural butter.
All right. Did you say thank you?
See the kids is over there. Where's you going? It's okay. So we on to the next, y'all.
You guys wait right here for me?
We at the Mabee Farm. That's the name, Mabee Farm. It's so beautiful outside, y'all. And learning something new is so amazing. So,
Guys, I need you for
I don't know what's the next step we're gonna do, but just stay tuned. I'm giving you clips of everything that we're doing, that we're learning. watch full video. Are y'all serious? Sitting down?
I mean, my legs feel like wood. Yep. All right, let's go, friends. Come on,
Come on, we gotta go. So, where we going next? We going somewhere else?
So, no, we're gonna go back where we started.
Okay.
We're gonna get our lunches and we're gonna eat out with
Oh,
the
yeah.
pavilion.
Yes, now we're gonna go
We'll
eat.
eat nice and outside. Oh yeah,
Food.
It's not even lunchtime in school yet.
I know, right?
But we didn't get snacks, so I do get why you're hungry.
So yeah, stay tuned. We're gonna go get some out food. Guys, look at all the chicken. Look at all the chickens.
Chicken crap. I feel like this was the longest video we've ever made.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty long, but yeah, I know. Oh, what is over there? Oh, that's more. That's more of the chicken. Go see. Hurry. Oh, that's all the. That thing is big, y'all. Got all the little ones just chilling out. Look, he over here digging. They digging. Yeah. This is cute. There's a whole squad out here, y'all. There's so many of us. Everybody's been loving the trip, enjoying the beautiful weather. So we're gonna go over there and eat, y'all. This is where we all gonna chill, sit down at the table. They already got their lunch. This is my group, and yeah, we'll be back when it's ready to eat. Peace.
Eat on the table or grass? No. We can eat
On the
anywhere.
table. We're gonna be on the table. We about to go eat. Everybody got their lunch. Oh, Anna, my water falling. The water.
Oh, it's cold.
It's so many. Look at all the kids.
I'll be over there.
Yeah, we gotta sit in our own group.
We have to sit in our own group?
Yeah, our own table. Look at this big boat. Okay, it's looking like this table needs to be clean.
Yeah.
Everybody ready to eat?
Mom, why did you try this? Thank you when I'm hungry. Oh, because that's what they got. Like, give me a question. They didn't go like, period. Just here.
Can I have my food right here? I don't know.
Nothing right here.
You in it? And look, our sandwich is right in here.
It's all the one where you guys
This is mine. You got strawberries. I got cherries. We came down ready.
I wasn't. No, she texted me this morning. Don't forget your lunch. I'm like, oh my god. So I had a rush by. So I just got the simplest thing.
Right. Something.
Right?
Something better than nothing.
You share?
I just felt
I wouldn't do that. And I'm like, I don't like
Girl, sit down. Siéntate. Enjoy your seat. And your food. Yeah, I am starting. Because I don't know, like, as having a conversation. I just know a lot of words.
You speak Spanish all the time.
What do y'all got? Oh, yours got messed up? Oh, that's your cake. Ooh, y'all. This gonna be busting.
So cool to be with you. I'm so lucky. I feel like every time we're
Be outside today. Be outside. So y'all just eat the meat?
I'm I'm like that too, don't worry.
I'm like, God, yeah. She's like, thank you.
It's good to be different.
If we were all
Is it here, right? I know. Mine was hot. I know. I came prepared, like, who is this? You Slim Jims? You eat this? You want one? Want one? You gonna eat it, right? Alright. I'll be prepared.
I know, because then you give it to them and then they take one bite and then they throw it out.
I know.
Like, my kid's gonna eat that. She got 4 sisters.
So, you guys have fun?
She's the oldest out of 6.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Well, you have 6 kids?
right? There's the big mean goat and then
God
there's
bless
the
you,
little mean goat.
Thank you.
Because she's little, it's kind of cute.
The youngest is 20.
I'm the oldest.
You're 10.
I'm 11.
Why is there a boat here? So this is a boat. Kind of boats that the colonial folks would have used. We built it in the same way that the colonial folks did. And in the summertime, since we're almost there, we take these boats
You
and
are
we
10.
dock
I knew
down
that.
there. And so we have another one of those boats already in the water, and we take those boats out for little rides. Pretty fun. Do you have a question? So what?
Probably, yeah.
Oh, yes.
You better eat that cow. Soda, everything. Got my salt and vinegar.
Your mom will come to that for me.
Are we trying out that boat? I want to get on the boat. I would love to get on the boat. I didn't get. Last time I was ever on the boat, I was probably like, yeah.
It's like 5 hours of sleep. Only gets like 5 hours of sleep.
Around that time, I'm getting up to use the bathroom.
That's a pretty cool boat.
I know, my mom.
No. Right down. Wait, how about saying, is it fried or something? Cause
Yeah.
I never see spin like that.
No, it's right. And with white rice, it's awesome.
I don't really like spinach. It's too salty to me. Like I can eat it, but I won't like just eat it like that. Or I gotta like it gotta be mixed with food.
That's why I said with white rice.
Yeah. Guys, we'll be back when we're done. What you gonna say? We'll be back. Alright, yeah, as you can see, it's time to go. It was a lovely trip with these kids. We was turned out. They loved it. They enjoyed it.
Mom, she wants me and you, me and you to
To sit, we can't squeeze in one seat.
That thing is a three-seater. They just put two three-seater.
All right, y'all say thank you for watching.
Bye.
YouTube channels we like.
Shout
Right.
Bye. Shout out to Cash.
And who else?
Cash.
You got other friends?
Shout out to Cash and Lanaya and Natalie and everybody.
And
Yeah.
what you gonna say, Andy?
Thank you for watching.
Make sure you what?
Like, share, subscribe, hit that post notification bell, give it a big thumbs up. It's so cool.
Peace.